So just to get us going, I thought it might be good for us to get in our groups for just a couple minutes and talk through what are some of the things that we thought were meaningful to us. So that'll be a slide. So I'll give you a couple minutes just to gather in your little groups, and if you've come in and you find yourself without a group, just join one of the little circles so that you have someone to chat with. So amongst yourselves, we'll take a couple of minutes. What were meaningful moments to you? What I'd like to do now is to turn our attention to this thing that comes up in the film, but it's sort of hard to catch. You have to investigate a lot further. So Liza, she offers Jonah this envelope, and there's something written on it, this Dulcius ex asperi. And this is the only thing on your program. It turns out to mean sweeter out of difficulties. And then we see later on in the movie, he's kept this envelope. It's up in his visor. And then as he gets this opportunity to chat with her, he finally gets to ask, what does it mean? But sadly for us, the music begins to play and the credits roll, and we never get to find out what it means. We're sort of just like Jonah in that moment. If we want to know more, we have to pause it, figure out what those words actually were, and then go look it up, right? So sweeter out of difficulties. And we started our discussion time earlier talking about ways that God has helped us out. So how many of you feel like, yeah, I could identify a time where I feel like God has helped me out? How many does that feel true for? Most, if not everybody. And yet, it is also very rare that we would intentionally choose difficulty, right? Things are sweeter out of difficulty, so let me just choose that. One of the least favorite verses, but often quoted in the Bible, has got to be James 1, verses 2 through 4. It's also on your program, just to upset you. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete and not lacking anything. And so it's worth saying we don't want to minimize the difficulty that exists in lives. We certainly don't want to minimize the difficulty that Jonah is experiencing. I have friends that lost their spouses when they had young children. It's horrible. There's nothing that really necessarily can make that better. You just walking through it. And that's sort of the thing about challenges. We often don't get to pick what trouble we would like to experience. Wouldn't it be great? We'll take that one, but not that one. But what Psalm 34 tells us is that we can expect God to come through every single time. Every single time. So even if we're assuming that considering trials as pure joy is a way to go, even if we think, well, maybe James's point there is hyperbole a little bit, that James is trying to overstate his point for the sake of making a point. Because we all do that, right? We kind of say it a little stronger. The thing is that James is telling us something that is very similar to what David is telling us about in the Psalms. God will not leave you. And so let's first think about all of this from the perspective of Jonah. And so this will be a slide, and I'm going to give you another couple of minutes to discuss it. So how might Jonah say that his life was made sweeter through difficulty? So I'll give you a couple moments in your groups. How might we say that Jonah's life was made sweeter through difficulty? So I'll pull us back together again, just for a brief moment, to ask the next question. So we've had an opportunity to sort of break the ice with Jonah's life a little bit. Let's take some time now to turn it more towards ourselves and ask, are there ways in which you've seen yourself grow as a result of difficulties. So let me give you another couple of minutes. And so if I may, I'm just going to pull us out of like any time in our lives to maybe something a little closer to the present moment. So the question is there anything currently in your life that could use God's help? And then really what we're looking to do here is turn these into prayer requests. So what I'd like to do is give you a chance to share what are prayer requests you have for things that are difficult in life, and then take that time in your groups to pray together. So if you're in a group of 6, you might want to subdivide into a group of 3 and 3, just so that you can actually all share.